It's 100 days of code, and we are on day 72. Can you believe it? We have a very, very special guest today talking about a very special topic. React. Lea Andersen, how are you doing?
I'm doing very special. I'm doing very reacty. I feel very reactive today. So I'll react to your question by answering with all the stuff that I learned, that I enjoyed learning over the past 2 days. So, I gave a little overview yesterday, but today we're going into the code directly and look at the look into all those components that I briefly touched on yesterday. So we'll start by the adding dynamic component styles, which is in the double dice gamble or double dice game. I think you have to share the screen. And yeah, exactly. So here we have where is it? The const dynamic style, dyn style, where I basically inserted a ternary operator. I don't know if it's called operator, but definitely ternary. That I know. As you can see, the color gets set to green or to red depending on if num1 and num2 are equal. It's the one below, even further down below, which you can see if you refresh that review box. We should get a different result. And now the color basically changes depending on the state. Or I mean, we're not talking about state yet because that's a different topic, but it's another state. We can do that directly in the component and make dynamic styles. I think that's all really needed for today to go over that. I guess we'll encounter that in the future even more. And then the next thing is how to render arrays with map, which we've done in a property list exercise, even though that came a bit later actually. I'm trying to remember which exercise we did. I think it was there's a color list component. Exactly, and I guess you have to scroll down for it. There we have the list of colors. So basically we have an array which is in our main app. And it has red, orange, yellow, and green inside. And the key prop, we'll go into that later. I'm aware of that. The thing is that if we want to access each individual value of an array, we have to map over them, and we can do that directly inside of the component as well. And in this one, we are basically mapping for each, like inside of the UL, we're mapping each sea of colors into a new li. So each mapping creates a new li and sets the color to C. of colors, which is the individual color, and also styles the text in the color. So it sets the text to C and styles it in its own color description. Yeah, and we do that by map with an arrow function. Easy peasy. And you have to import the data as a prop, and then use the dot map on it. And then we did the slot machine exercise, which was, I guess, a little scroll above again in the view. Yeah, so where is it? Slot machine JSX. Down there, which was basically just checking if all 3 slots are the same. You have 3 fruit up there, all being the same, and you do that with like, at first I tried doing v1 triple equal 2 triple equal 3, but that didn't work, so I had to kind of, I don't know, split it up in some kind of way. I'm aware that the way I wrote it here is probably not the shortest way, but I found it quite logical when I look at it, that I see if it's all equal, then I render the H2 in green with win and congrats. We had to do both. Like we had to render 2 different elements at the same time for the case of winning, and for the case of losing, we had to render only 1. And yeah, we get these values through props, which we write into the component wherever we place the component. So in this case, we placed it in the app.js, and you can see there that we gave we insert basically 2 slot machines for the lose slot and for the win slot, and I gave different inputs as the slots. Yeah, very basic exercise, but fun as well. Yeah, there you can see like two slot components. Absolutely useless for any real use case, but good for the concepts. Yeah, then we had the property list, which we got from an object. I guess makes sense for understanding the flow if you show it in the app.js, because there we have you can see the object, or the array of objects basically, and we had all the props: ID, name, rating, and price. Not objects, other. Stop fucking up my code. So all the keys: ID, name, rating, price, with all the values, and I had to loop over all of them, and then also put all of these. I think the main exercise, or the main point of this exercise, was to basically nest components. As we can see, we have property list and property. So we're using property lists to map the values into different property components. We take all the props in, we map over them. Each individual P gets spread out into each property component, and if you go to the property component itself, we can see that it takes all the individual property, or all these individual props that got mapped out, and then returns basically all of them in a different heading. And so I guess it's now good. Yeah, and also there is in the property list the style, not that important, but we made the class name property list and then set it to Flexbox. That was part of the exercise, so I did it. And so we have them all next to each other basically instead of below each other. One can imagine a bit like, for example, in Airbnb, we see all these different cards of properties next to each other. And yeah, so I think it's a good moment to go into the key prop now. If you go to the property JSX component, we can see that the key is set to ID, which, as far as I understand, is correct. But it's not in the, I know it's wrong because there's an error that I put it in a div. But that was basically just a setup so I remember the question I had, because in the exercise, in the solution, he put the key ID into somewhere directly in the property list and not into the individual property component, something like that. Wait, well, let me check for a second where exactly he put it. What did you? Okay, got it. Well, yeah, okay. He basically put it as a prop, as far as I see it now. And yeah, I was wondering why we are basically what's that? Still wrong? Is that a bug or?
No, property list is good now. It's color list. That is also missing the key, but property list works now.
Yeah, I got it. We ignored that thing for color list. So yeah. Oh yeah, add color list. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, to me it looked a bit weird to have the key separately as a separate prop inside of each property element. I thought it looked cleaner if we just spread them all out and then do everything inside of the property element, but I guess that's the syntax how it has to be done. So that's how I will. Yeah, I thought, why not just put it inside of the div, because the div, like in HTML and that we always had like the, I don't know if it was IDs or but class names and stuff like that. Yeah, I think IDs were inside of HTML elements as well, like inside of the div or inside of the form or whatever. So I don't know. Is that line of thinking understandable, even though it's not correct in this case?
It's totally understandable, but first of all, there's an error in your thinking, right? So the props that we actually get are ID, name, price, and rating. So in this case right here, if you are spreading in the props, you are spreading in ID, name, price, and rating, right? So this P does not even contain a prop named key. But even if we had a prop named key here, actually that might work. I think then it would work, but you cannot, but only because you're setting it here on the property element, not because you're setting it here. As you can see, React always needs the key on the exact component that you're iterating over so that React doesn't lose track of it. And the property is the component, not the diff, right? Diff is just inside of the property component. That is why the key has to go directly into property. But if there was a prop called key in this key, I think it would work. And we can even test it out. We can just jump into our app here and let's just copy the ID. Let's copy the ID like this. Here again. Oh, I didn't copy that. Let me copy this. No, it works, yeah. And now we exchange it for a key, just for fun. And let's reload this and see if the error is still... Okay, this seems to be dead. So let's reload the whole code sandbox. Let's see what happens. In the property list, we're no longer mapping this. We're opening up the console, and yeah, it's only complaining about color list. So this works too, right? But we need to have key in the props.
So it has to be called key as well. And I mean, is there a way to, without renaming it, like kind of redefining it through a variable in between somewhere?
I mean, the way to do it was the way that we had it before, right? Where we just put in a key and we just say, hey, this is p.id or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why bother about it if it works this way? Okay, so well, what was the next thing? Yeah, the property exercise, that was it. Yeah, then we looked a bit into ESLint, which was like just setting some deprecated error messages to false or something like that. But at this moment, I'm not using Vite yet, so I'll care about that later. Prop types was also basically just kind of a deprecated thing, so I didn't care too much about that. I know it's about, like, I would describe it a bit like a validation that we usually have on forms, but for each individual, but for your individual lines of code. So you only if it's in the right format, it gets executed, something like that. Would that be a correct metaphor?
Yeah, it's a good metaphor, and I would maybe even simplify and just say the prop types tell you what type your properties are. But I think we had it, for example, in the die, if I remember correctly. So this is actually the way that prop types have been replaced. This is the way that prop types have been replaced. So we're actually just setting a default value to the number of sides. And now when we look at the die component, when we use it, I think in the bubble die game, maybe somewhere here, yeah. Here it knows that sides must be a number and can also be undefined because, yeah, we have a default value. That means the default value is applied if we don't supply this sides value.
Okay, and if I don't set defaults, do I make am I a criminal then, or?
Well, in JavaScript, then you don't know when you're using the component just by reading it, right, what type it is. You would need to understand the whole component. And in TypeScript, you would actually type out the shape of the properties. But we get to that when we get to TypeScript.
Okay, yeah, I thought that this is not something for now. Okay, cool. So, well, then we went into the section of React events. And we have, where is it? Should be clicker, should be it. Yes. And if you scroll up in the preview, we can see it. See the beautiful clicker. Click this button, and we can see down below that it increases the clicked value, at least in the console, but not only on clicking, but also on mousing over. I was too lazy to set up two functions, so I used the handle click for mouse over and on click. So the console log is clicked or moused. And yeah, this is basically just an event listener, the on mouse over and the on click. And there are, as far as I'm guessing, probably more than that. But this is the basic way how to use it. We don't have to get define which element of the DOM we want to listen to, and then set the dot listen to it and stuff like that. We can just write it right into the element, or I don't know how to say it, like JSX element or sub element of the component. I don't know if one can maybe use it inside of the component where the props are. I guess not, because it's reserved for props. But yeah, and also I don't exactly know where that was, but we can also do the prevent default thing as well. Basically, in the inside of the function that we trigger with our event listener. And yeah, that's basically the basics of events. And then last part, which is the first third, or about third of the section on React state, is basically that we had the issue that we couldn't render out the change in the number by each click when we were just using print, or not print, but basically putting the curly brackets num inside of a paragraph or something, without this state counter, or without this use state function. I'm not sure if it's a function or a method, but this is inherent to JavaScript. And if you scroll up in the code, we can see that we also have to import it from React. And it comes with two values, and the fastest way to use to use to define and then use both values, or both arguments that are part of the use state function. We can just destructure them. My favorite topic. And the first one is always basically the state as it is, and then the second one is a function that changes the state, and it updates the state each time it gets triggered. And yeah, I built, like, it's a bit much in one thing, because I built two mechanisms inside of this component. I guess I should probably split this into three components, like the major one, and then two. But I don't know if it's actually possible because we only have one button. I don't know if I can trigger a different component with the same button. With the button of another component, but maybe I have to split it up then, so it's the button is a separate component. I don't know how one would. I would probably need a little bit more time because I did it on the fly right before the session today. I probably need a little bit more time to think about how to structure this little super app a bit more clean and more in a more reactive way. But yeah, basically the on-click triggers two functions that have a use state and that update different numbers, and they are both then rendered in the paragraph. And yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Yep, I think it was a great summary of the stuff that we couldn't talk about for the last few days. It's amazing to see all this stuff. It's amazing to think that only 72 days ago you didn't know about even HTML, and now you're already doing state and stuff, which is pretty much brand new if you consider React, because it's only been out, these hooks that you're learning have only been out since about 2020, 2019, I think, was about when they came out. Yeah, very exciting stuff. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you have ever a question yourself, just let us know in the chat and we will answer it. Other than that, I can only say thank you, Leon, for presenting today. And I have a feeling tomorrow will be similar. But we'll see what happens. We always keep you guys surprised. So thank you everyone for watching. This has been day 72 of the 100 Days of Code with
Leon Andersen and my mentor.
I have Mil from TEDx Dev. Always be mounting.
Always be. We had a different word for that as well. I don't know right now, but always be coding, and see you tomorrow, party people.